Hello YouTube, I'm back with another guide and this time covering elemental reactions. This is a three-part guide for beginners who don't know what elemental reactions in Genshin Impact are. This first part we will cover introductions to reactions, few terminologies and reactions between pyro, hydro, cryo and electro. In the end, I'm also going to mention 2 points that you need to keep in mind. So make sure you keep watching till the end. Part 2 and Part 3 will come out soon, so don't worry about that. In Genshin Impact, we have 7 elements. We have Pyro, Cryo, Hydro, Electro, Geo, Anemo, and Dendro, among which Pyro, Cryo, Hydro, and Electro will be covered in this part. Interactions between any 2 or 3 of them are what we call elemental reactions. Before we dive deep into elemental reactions, let's learn few terms. When Mona uses her E on an enemy, the enemy has an element on top of their head. This states that the enemy has an aura, okay? And Mona was the applicator. Mona applied Hydro to the enemy. And when I use Bennett's E, it causes a reaction called Vaporize. Here, Bennett is called a triggerer because Bennett triggered a reaction called Vaporize. You can do this vice versa as well. When you use Bennett's E first and apply the pyro aura to the enemy, Bennett becomes the applicator. Then, when I use Mona's auto attack, it triggers a Vaporize. Okay, here Mona is called the triggerer. I hope you understood the 3 terms of aura, applicator, and triggerer. Okay, if you didn't understand any of this, I would recommend you replay this section once again. There are 2 types of reactions in Genshin Impact. There is amplifying reactions, or AMP reactions for short, and there are transformative reactions. Amplifying reactions does a single instance of damage and can crit, and they also scale with crit rate, crit damage, skill level, attack, and elemental mastery of the triggering character as well as elemental damage bonus. On the other hand, transformative reactions can't crit, and they don't even scale with your character's attack. But on the other hand, they scale with elemental mastery and your character level. The amplifying reactions include Vaporize and Melt, while on the other hand, transformative reactions include Freeze, Superconduct, Overload, and Electro-Charge. Let's talk about these reactions, starting with the amplifying ones. Vaporize, the reaction between Hydro and Pyro. It has a 1.5 times damage multiplier or a 2 times damage multiplier. It does a single instance of damage.
Shadows of Fate!
Here is the main part about Vaporize. When we apply Hydro and trigger Vaporize with a Pyro, we get the 1.5 times multiplier damage increase, and the enemy is still inflicted with the applied element, which is Hydro, for a small amount of time, allowing you to vaporize again. On the other hand, when we apply Pyro and trigger Vaporize with Hydro, we get the 2 times damage multiplier for it, but the Pyro aura vanishes. That's all for Vaporize. Let's go for the next reaction. The next amplifying reaction is Melt. It is a reaction very similar to Vaporize. It is a reaction between Pyro and Cryo. It has a 1.5 times damage multiplier and or a 2 times damage multiplier. I'm gonna take this one a little simple. You apply cryo, you trigger melt with pyro, you will get the 2 times damage multiplier. And cryo aura is gone. Okay. On the other hand, when you apply pyro and trigger melt with cryo, you get the 1.5 times damage multiplier, and the pyro aura remains for further reactions. Okay, like I said, this reaction is very similar to the Vaporize reaction. Now, those were the amplifying reactions. Now, let's talk about the transformative ones. The first one that we're going to talk about is overload. It is a reaction between pyro and electro. It is often considered a not good of a reaction because of the knockback. When we trigger overload, the original white number damage remains, and it will transform into another small instance of reaction damage, creating an explosion and knocking the tiny enemies back. Due to this knockback, overload is often considered a bad reaction. The second reaction that I'm gonna talk about of transformative ones is Electro-Charge. It is a reaction between hydro and electro, or vice versa. It is not a single instance of damage, but on the other hand, it ticks over time with multiple small numbers which get added up. The special trait of this reaction is that if the enemy is affected with hydro but isn't affected with electro-charge, the electro-charged enemy's condition will spread to the enemy that is affected with hydro as well. But on the other hand, if you yourself are affected with hydro, it will spread to you as well, causing you to punch the wall. I'm just kidding. Causing you to do a clunky movement, okay? It jams your movement. The next reaction that I'm going to talk about is freeze. It does what the name suggests, okay? You just have to use your common sense, if and any you have. Okay, freeze is the reaction between hydro and cryo. Okay, it freezes the enemy, and yeah, that's all. No damage number is seen. When you hit the frozen enemy with a heavy attack, it causes a small reaction. It's not even considered as a reaction, but I classified it as a reaction for your simple understanding. Okay, it's called shatter and does a small instance of physical damage to the enemy. Everyone mostly ignores this reaction, but yeah, I just wanted you to know it. Okay, just keep in mind that you cannot freeze the bosses. Okay, so if you could freeze the bosses, it would be the most broken reaction, but that's not the case. The last reaction that I'm going to talk about is superconduct. Okay, before I talk about superconduct, if you're enjoying this video and if you found this video helpful, I would really appreciate it if you could smash that like button and subscribe to the channel with the bell notification so that you don't miss out on part 2 and part 3 of this series. Now let's continue. The fourth transformative reaction is superconduct. It is a reaction between cryo and electro, which does a small damage. Okay, it's very negligible damage, but it has a special trait. If the enemy is affected with superconduct, that enemy's physical resistance is decreased by 40% for 12 seconds, which favors characters like Eula and Razor, which do physical damage. Okay, quick thing that I wanted to mention was that whenever you're triggering an amplifying reaction or a transformative reaction, only the triggerers, the one that triggered the reaction, the triggerer's elemental mastery will matter. And if you increase the elemental mastery of the triggering character, the output of the reaction will increase. The second thing that I wanted to talk about is that there is something called ICDs in Genshin Impact, which stands for internal cooldowns. Okay, you cannot trigger Vaporize on every hit, or you cannot trigger an elemental reaction on every hit. You can only trigger a reaction as per the 3-hit rule or the 2.5 second rule. This is a topic for another video, and it's quite advanced as well, so I'm gonna leave this to another video like I mentioned. And that's all for now. I hope you found this video helpful. If yes, just click the like button. It will encourage me to make more of such guides for you all. Alright, that's all for this video. I'll see you all in the next one. That's all for now. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.